Welcome, viewers, to Richard and Karl presents Deep Space and Dragons. I'm Richard.
And I'm Karl.
And
boy wonder.
Oh no. The implications that just happened. So, before we get into today's topic of the Cape Crusader, what's new in the Karlverse?
As some of our listeners may know, I had a date, and it went pretty well. I went and saw a movie with Robert Pattinson. You might have heard of it. It's called The Batman. But it went well enough that we decided we were going to have a second date, and actually, the date was supposed to be later today, but unfortunately, they got COVID, so we had to reschedule.
That is deeply unfortunate, but I want you to know that when you said we scheduled a second date, the sprawling Batman music went da-da-da-da with the glory that it deserved.
I'm glad the music is on point.
Of course.
Besides that, there's not really much interesting, unless you want to hear about my work life where I had to learn Inkscape to draw a floor plan for a new store.
That is kind of interesting, so I think that's a good start to that story, and we might revisit that on a later episode.
What's new with you, Richard?
So, as everyone's aware, I was completely buried under assignments for the last while, which is what happens when you pick up a job, try and be a writing career, agree to help edit 3 people's books, work full-time, and, I just had a lot going. But the thing is, I was never overwhelmed or underwhelmed. I was just whelmed. I had an appropriate amount of things keeping me busy. Mm-hmm. But during a breakout group in one of my classes where I was giving a lecture on Twitter about setting up Twitter rather than the topics we're supposed to be working on, I decided to host an event for our entire cohort to go axe throwing next week. Because a lot of us haven't actually interacted this semester because it got removed to fully online. But with things getting a little more lax in regulation, the campus I attend is right next to the Square One shopping center. So if our viewers want to try to desperately encounter me on the street, good luck. But I decided, I'm going to schedule us an event. And I literally went on their website and went team building event and got a group discount for it. So we're going to do that student team building exercise of throwing axes at things, which is pretty exciting.
I gotta love those Groupons.
Oh, yeah. Someone said to me this week, Mike, there's I went ice fishing, and I was like, why? I had a coupon. I had a coupon is the most universal defense for an action. It doesn't really matter what thing you go to do. If you follow up with, I have a coupon, you're in the clear.
Well, it's the one time my dad bought a dozen violins. And I was like, why'd you buy a dozen violins? And he's like, well, they were on sale.
It's flawless logic. It's why'd you pick up the Jackbox Party Pack? It was on sale. Do you even have 6 friends? Well, as a student ambassador, I'm sure I could find 6.
Well, I'm sure between the two of us, we have at least 3 friends.
Oh, wow. 3 each is a pretty big goal. But 3 together, I think we got this.
Yeah.
So, with that, let's get into the topic at hand. So I'm going to open with an obvious statement here. The reason Batman has Robin dress in brightly colored clothing is to draw away bullets. We're talking Batman this week.
Wait. Robin is dressed in bright colors to draw away bullets from Batman?
Yes! If you're going in a stealth ninja operation, and have colored yourself in head-to-toe black Kevlar, the only rational explanation to have someone else dressed like a literal Robin is they see your young sidekick, which he's went through about 5 of at this point, and they shoot at him first. And you get a government stipend that pays their salary.
That's kind of dark.
So is the recent Batman movie.
Night, but
10% less saturation per movie. At the current rate, to steal a joke from Ryan George, by the next 2 Batman movies, there'll just be an audiobook with a black screen, occasional flashes of gunfire. But on the topic of Batman, who is your favorite Batman?
Who is my favorite Batman? Ooh.
And I'm going to ask a separate question about who your favorite Bruce Wayne is, so you can separate the two.
Yeah, okay. Because, I mean, Adam West is definitely the best Batman.
He's a top-tier contender. I might argue a second place, but yeah.
But, I mean, he pretty much never played Bruce Wayne.
Right?
So, like, that's kind of, like, it definitely is important to separate the two. But as for a Bruce Wayne, Christopher Nolan is the director.
You're thinking Christian Bale or Holy Wheat?
Christian Bale. Christian Bale. I kind of enjoyed his Batman persona, or his Bruce Wayne persona.
That's very fair. So for me, I think the best Batman was Will Arnett. Because, let's be honest,
yeah.
Lego Batman pointed out all the obvious things we joke about the Batman series, but still managed to give, like, a convincing, powerful role. That Batman's biggest problem is he doesn't let himself feel love, like, as he microwaves his lobster thermidor. If that movie wasn't Lego, and it was live action, it had a $15 million budget, it would have been the best Batman movie ever made by a wide margin. Especially when Daleks and Sauron attack, like, that in live action would have been amazing. So, that's my best Batman.
The licensing nightmare.
But he also doesn't really play Bruce Wayne much in that movie. Where I think the best Bruce Wayne is the animated one voiced by Kevin Conroy.
Yeah, okay. You definitely went a way different route. I was thinking about live action Batman movies, but
those are
the
worse.
Animated Bruce Wayne characters are often actually pretty interesting too.
Well, I really like the Son of Batman movie where Bruce Wayne had to be like, oh, I accidentally made an assassin child. So he actually had to like lean into the Bruce Wayne a bit because you can't just be Batman with a son. You kind of actually have to be Bruce Wayne on that one despite your best efforts.
Yeah, that's true.
And on to the next topic, while we're just arbitrarily talking Batman and rating Batman characters. Who's the best Robin, if you even remember all the Robins' names? Because we go through them real fast.
I don't know if this is appropriate, but I mean, there's a joke about Dick Grayson being Nightwing. I don't know. I don't really know much about any of the other Robins, but Dick Grayson is my favorite Robin.
That is fair. Not only is he the Robin from Teen Titans, or the or the horrible Teen Titans Go, he's also like the Robin.
Well, the first couple seasons of Teen Titans Go were pretty on point.
Oh yeah,
but they definitely fell into the let's be musical numbers.
I hate when cartoons devolve into just random songs about nothing. Oof. But yeah. But another contender is definitely in the animated movies, the Damian Wayne approach of this is my murder child with a sword. And it's like, he's Robin, and being Robin fundamentally looks stupid. But this Robin is actually just a sociopathic killer, and I'm like, you know what, that kind of works. Where he's like, no, Robin, don't murder those people. It's just kind of an amusing inversion of it. So, I'm definitely going to go like, the Damian Wayne Robin was a pretty good approach, but the Dick Grayson Robin is the OG Robin. But one of my favorite Batman fun facts, because this is the darkest thing that I think's ever happened in comic books, is they had a fan poll to vote whether or not Jason Todd survives. The Joker kidnaps him, and the fans got to choose if Robin lived or died. So, Jason Todd got beaten to death by a crowbar before they brought him back for cinematic comic book purposes, because you can't kill someone for real in a comic book. But imagine being so unpopular as a superhero that the entire town of Gotham is fine with the Joker beating you to death. Like, just the implications that you're dead because you just weren't entertaining enough as a superhero.
I do have to appreciate the guts that the writers had to actually, like, do something like that.
And I mean, of course he came back, but it was for long enough that he was dead for quite a while, and he never came back as Robin.
Yeah, because he came back as another deranged sociopath. Like.
Which is fair. I think he's one of the most justified Batman villains, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that the whole Lazarus Pit thing hasn't been a more mainstream plot point for the Batman franchise in general.
Well, part of that is when they do the live action trilogies, because they've decided you can never do more than 3 Batman movies in a row, or else you get Ice to Meet You and Bat Nipples.
Right.
So they never quite go long enough that these large animated plot arcs can pay off. Which is why I'm always a bigger fan of the animated Batmans, because they don't have to reboot him every 5 years in the animated ones. Like the Batman to Superman to Justice League to Justice League Unlimited to Batman Beyond continuity, being one solid chunk of continuity, was probably better continuity than the MCU. Like, it was solid till it eventually fizzled out.
Well, and then one of the other things about kind of movies in general is that the villain almost always has to die. And I was like, no, the villain doesn't have to die. That's kind of like Batman's thing is that he is trying not to kill people. He's just trying to scare them with targeted violence. And
what's kind of crazy is some of the most successful movies of all time are the ones brave enough to not kill their villains, at least right away. Like, we look at Star Wars. So Star Wars Episode 4 is probably the most referenced things in my classes when we're doing, like, film study for how to design a good narrative. And they didn't deal with a single of the actual main villains in that at all. They just annoyed them.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
They're out several $1 trillion in supplies by blowing up their floating death fortress, but the Emperor wasn't even shown, he was just mentioned. And Darth Vader just kind of had a bad day. And that's why Episode 5 is so good, is then Darth Vader came back and got vengeance for his bad day. But the superhero movies aren't brave enough to keep their villain for multiple movies, except the one time they did it was Big Purple. And I guess Loki, but Loki was kind of like... He went from, like, villain to anti-hero over the course of it.
Oh, yeah, and then they decided to just unwrite all of his character progression and release the Loki TV series.
Right? So I think one of the problems these Batman series movies have is they're not brave enough to plan more than 2 in ahead, so they try and wrap up everything in a nice bow, which stops them from being able to build on themselves.
Well, okay, I mean, something of a tiny bit of a spoiler alert for the Batman. The villain does not die. I mean, they actually do send him to Arkham Asylum.
That is delightful. Also, sending villains to Arkham Asylum is such a trope, because that's never actually worked.
Well, yeah, I'm pretty sure the Joker is only ever there because he wants to be there.
I'm pretty sure the Joker has a cot in, like, I feel like that's just the Joker's summer home. Like, he probably, like, his cell probably has, like, a hidden TV in the wall, and he has a margarita machine in there, and that's just where he goes to take a break.
Yeah, just resting and relaxing in his jail cell.
One of my favorite things, because they love to do ridiculous hypothetical comic books and Batman things, and I just stumble across these stories. I still love the one time where they're like, yeah, the Joker was Alfred, who plays the main villain of the Batman to keep the Batman's motivations and spirits up. Huh. I love that one.
It is a pretty off-the-wall theory, but at the same time, Alfred has been shown to be incredibly devoted to Bruce Wayne and Batman.
Right?
Like, I bet you Alfred is the contractor that built the Batcave, because otherwise everybody would know what was going on down there.
Pretty much. Like, almost guaranteed. And it's kind of funny is, with this Batman reboot, one thing a lot of people would have preferred, weirdly, is the Batman Beyond story. Because the Batman Beyond story, where Bruce Wayne retires and basically becomes an Alfred to a new Batman, is just a fantastic spin on the narrative. And it's funny at how underknown it is, because it was an anime series, went for a few seasons. It got a couple cameos in Justice League. But as a concept, is one of the best Batman concepts possible. Bruce Wayne has become angry, old, and crotchety for being alone his entire life. And a new Batman with a similar backstory just stumbles upon the Batcave. He's like, alright, I guess you're Batman now. And then the whole story is how he's trying to be a less shitty Batman than the original Batman. And as old man Bruce Wayne, like, just occasionally beats people up with a cane.
Yeah, old man Bruce Wayne is still a badass.
And that's what makes him such a great character concept. He's like, well, if I had cartilage left in my arms and legs, I would still be Batman. And, well, such a good scene is at the very start of Batman Beyond, Bruce Wayne's in a fight and starts having a heart attack, so he picks up a gun to scare someone off, and that's the day he retires. So he didn't retire because he had a heart attack. He retired because he pulled a gun on someone because he was having a heart attack, which meant he can no longer be 100% convinced he could do this without killing people. Because he still won the fight despite having the heart attack.
Yeah. Oh, good old Batman.
And then the, like, dynamic is so wholesome when he brings old man Batman some soup. Like, there's just, like, a dynamic there where Batman transitions into Alfred.
So just another, like, not exactly spoiler for the Batman. So the villain in the Batman is the Riddler.
Unfortunately, not played by Jim Carrey.
I was watching this movie, and he uses a lot of ciphers to with his riddles and stuff. Like, doesn't Batman just have a villain named Cypher? I was thinking about it. I was like, then at the end of the movie, everyone's convinced that the Riddler is talking to the Joker in kind of a post-credits kind of scene thing. And I was like, maybe he's actually talking to the Riddler, and he was actually Cypher the whole time. I was actually gonna posit this theory until I realized that Cypher is some weird guy with mind control powers. Like, what? Cypher doesn't use ciphers?
Oh, DC. Yep. It's also kind of funny that they sunk so much time, energy, and money into trying to make Justice League League a thing, and they've just given up completely.
Well, the Batman versus Superman and the Justice League
are bad. They're bad.
On the one hand, it's okay for Batman to be a sociopath because, like, he is definitely a lawful evil person.
Whoa, damn, that is a flex, but continue. That was a great, like, you blew my mind a bit there, but please go ahead.
but like, they tried to be all, like, super dark, and, like, his whole motivation is that, in the DCEU movies, is that, like, Superman had a fight with Zod, and collateral damage killed some people.
Which happens.
He goes around just, like, killing people with collateral damage.
Right? No lessons learned here.
No lessons at all.
Like, that's kind of the interesting thing about Batman, is a lot of people think the Batman Begins was a darker Batman movie. It actually wasn't. Which one was it with? Wow, my brain just completely froze. The guy who does The Nightmare Before Christmas, Johnny Depp's soulmate, Tim Burton. Tim Burton
did the first two Batmans with Michael Keaton.
Those were way darker. He choked someone to death with a statue and a grappling hook. That Batman killed you. Just straight up, no mercy. And that movie was dark and gothic and edgy. I posit that Batman Begins had way more optimism, way more bloom lighting, and it was a genuinely less dark Batman movie. And that's the thing about Dark Knight Rises. People are like, oh, it's so dark. It's like, it really wasn't. It had a lot of themes of hope and redemption, and sure, Batman was poorly lit and had the gravel Batman voice, but as a character, wasn't that extreme of a Batman. He wasn't He wasn't branding people. He wasn't putting a taser in his mouth and making out with them. Like, by comic book standards, he was a pretty tame Batman. So they thought that, like, it being darker led to more money, but I think it was actually less dark than the first two movies.
Just as like an interesting thing about the origin of Batman is like he was originally supposed to be this incredibly dark and edgy hero in like the 50s or 60s, or I'm not entirely certain on the timeline. Someone might be able to correct me. But the comic book editors decided that he was too dark, and he kind of launched the whole golden age of comic book, like the standard for like the hope and optimism that is in the ridiculousness too, like having the Riddler just going around telling riddles, or like the Joker just giving people laughing gas. It's like these villains are terrible, but the original incarnations were actually just kind of almost jokes because the original Batman was too dark and they needed to lighten him up.
Well, one of my favorite jokes in cinematic history is Batman and Robin in the live-action Adam West movie going, "These are connected. It took place in the sea. C is for Catwoman." Which is the best logic jump of all time.
Or
there's just nowhere to dispose of the ball.
People who slip on the banana peels, they're always Russian.
Yep.
It's like, and then from that he figures out who he's like. Oh no, we're up against the League of Villains. It's like,
so like we got super campy, and then we go to like Tim Burton being Tim Burton, which I'm pretty sure he's
Johnny Depp wasn't in those movies actually. Like,
Johnny Depp is Batman. Yes, I didn't know I needed that till this exact moment. Not that Michael Keaton didn't do a fine job. Like, those first two Batman movies were actually really solid. And I say first two of, like, the Dark Batman movies. But it's just funny that, like, not Dark Knight Rises, The Dark Knight. The Dark Knight was the second one of the Christian Bale one, right?
Yeah, because it was and then Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, and The Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah, so The Dark Knight won a bunch of awards and things, but people misattribute that to it being dark. And instead, it won a bunch of awards because you had a villain and a hero both equally fleshed out over the course of a movie with dueling ideologies. Joker absolutely crushed it, but it was like if Batman's lawful evil, like you say, Joker was chaotic evil, and their battle is very idealistic. Like, there's a plot point to this movie. And you get to the next one where it's just like, Batman is too injured to be Batman, and then gets robo-legs, and then gets broken again, and then heals again, and then fights Bane, who's evil for reasons, and then send the entire... And it's like, that movie's problems it wasn't dark or edgy. It was they didn't have a plot written or an emotional core to this movie to drive it. It was just Batman and Bane do stuff.
I mean, I say that Christian Bale was my favorite Bruce Wayne, but it's really mostly... like in the first The Dark Knight Rises, I think that was when that's just the best performance out of the trilogy, because it felt like Batman and Bruce Wayne both had
separate characters, almost
genuine, way more genuine character development, and it was just more interesting to see them grow, and then they established who Batman is, and he stopped growing, stopped being dynamic.
What's kind of funny is one of the animated Batman movies that's really good is Batman Year One, which is literally about Jim Gordon's first year and Batman's first year. But what's interesting is, in the animated movie form or the comic book form, it's actually a Jim Gordon show with Batman in it rather than being a Batman show, because he gets probably 50% or more of the screen time. And it's one of my favorite Batman things, because A, he's not fighting comical villains with ridiculous schemes, he's literally just trying to bring down the mob and the corrupt NYPD, well, GPPD.
Right.
Which is delightful. But Bruce Wayne is not a character in that. There's the Batman, and then there's Jim Gordon. Bruce Wayne does not exist as a character. Although, as we're shouting out random Batman movies, Batman vs. the Ninja Turtles was just a peak cinema.
That it was.
Just, that's what flawless entertainment looks like. It's like, do we want the Joker fused with a rattlesnake? Yes. Do we want a bromance between Donatello and Batgirl? Absolutely. Like, it did things I didn't know I wanted from the franchise. Do we have Michelangelo point out that Gotham City just has blimps everywhere for no reason? Yes. Somehow, over, 15 Batman movies, 10 animated series, more comic books than I could fill my room with, no one's called out the blimps.
Oh, but you want to know what was a Batman movie that we thought we wanted that we didn't? Batman Ninja.
Right? I really thought I wanted that movie.
Oh, it had so much promise, and then it was like, no. No, we didn't actually want this. You guys misled us.
We were wrong. I'm sorry. You said Batman Ninja, where we do an anime about Batman, and we jumped to some conclusions, and that's on us. You gave us exactly what we wanted, but that wasn't what we wanted. It turns out we don't want a Batman Gurren Lagann crossover. We thought we did, but we were wrong.
Well, I don't know.
They did build a Gurren Lagann robot in that movie. I stand by that comparison.
If it had been marketed as Batman Gurren Lagann, I probably would have come at it with a different mindset and would have enjoyed it more. But that's no Batman Ninja. That's where how do you get to giant robots in feudal Japan?
Because sometimes a lot of things that are like a Western company that's like, let's do an anime homage. They tend to like lean even harder into anime tropes than anime does, which is deeply terrifying. Like, they did the Star Wars Visions, where they had a bunch of Star Wars shorts set as animes, and a couple of them just leaned so hard into being animes that they stopped being Star Wars.
Yeah, okay.
And the Animatrix and the Halo Legends animes also had that question, where some of the short stories are just like, you literally just did every anime trope you could think of in one thing. Why would you shove every anime trope in here? You are aware the best animes have the fewest anime tropes. Like the Samurai X animated movies had no anime tropes in those things. They were just good. And I'm like, yeah, we want Ryonin Kenshin Batman. That's what we were promised. What did we get? Not that.
Not that at all.
Although I still have to laugh in our last stream when I got it too soon about Kenshin's tragic backstory. That was beautiful. But yeah, so going forward, I'm pretty sure we're going to get a sparkly vampire Batman trilogy. Seems very likely.
They definitely sequel hooked it. I mean, the plot itself did wrap up pretty nicely. But again,
no one makes just one movie anymore.
Well, yeah, no one makes just one movie, and also like the villain went to Arkham, and clearly implied that there are other villains already in Arkham. Like,
although it is funny that they made this Batman just ridiculously bulletproof.
He is ridiculously bulletproof. That is true, and his face shield seems to be bomb proof, even though it doesn't cover his chin. It seems to have some sort of, I don't know, like magic to cover. Well,
I am going to say though, when it comes to bulletproof technology, part of why Batman suits got better is our technology as people got better. Like, we now make like in John Wick, there's assassins that had ballistic gel suits, and those actually exist. You can just make a bulletproof suit with modern technology. So,
right.
If the technology has gotten good enough that people in regular action movies have Batman-level durability, we can just assume Batman's always +1 whatever's on the market. So whatever technology we currently have, he has slightly better of it, because he should. He's Batman.
Well, yeah, his superpower is that he's rich, so he can afford to actually invest in cutting-edge technology.
Absolutely. So here's my... Oh, I didn't even talk of this much. Lego Batman movie, best Batman movie. Straight up.
I would actually tend to agree. The Lego Batman movie was really quite good.
It's kind of crazy how much they understood. Because, like, the thing about the Lego Batman movie is they understood the character of Batman, the lore, the settings, and the Easter eggs a lot better than a lot of these movie producers doing Batman do. Like, you could tell the writers on Lego Batman read every Batman issue for the last 100 years to assemble this movie. And they, like, reference, like, the massive Batman lore. Because that's another part of it. Is, even if they don't show Batman's origin story, they have this weird assumption that you don't know who Batman is. And they must inform you of this, when we could definitely go at media res with Batman. We know who Batman is. We don't have to explain it.
I will say, that was one of the strong points about the Batman, is that they did not show his tragic backstory. Even though it was plot relevant. And then also, like, they're just like, I've been doing this for 2 years. So it's like, yeah.
Oh, nice.
It's not his origin story.
That is delightful.
And I kind of appreciated that about the new Batman movie.
Yeah, definitely kudos. Because as I mentioned, my favorite Batman story, Batman Year One, is we're watching Jim Gordon try to investigate the psychopath in a bat suit that's taking down the mafia. And then the psychopath in a batsuit meets him on a roof and be like, Jim, you're a good cop, so I'm going to get rid of all the corruption. He's like, I didn't consent to this, Batman, away! I mean, just try and ignore the subplot where Jim Gordon cheats on his wife. That was not a great... I would not put that in my version of this. Kind of like that one Batman movie I was watching where Batman just hooks up with Batgirl. I'm like, who asked for this? Who asked for a rooftop Batman Batgirl scene?
Oh, I mean, I'm sure there was somebody who asked for it.
Well, we need to find them and sick the Batman on them. No, we're not going into that. What's that? Our time is up for this episode. So let's move into our random question of the day. All right. And while I'm getting up a random question list, go ahead and plug our Twitch streams.
So I mean, we've been playing playing random games. Like we had a pretty successful fun stream just going through the Nintendo Switch online library of NES or Super NES co-op games. So I mean, if
we
you're
tied at
check
Kirby
out,
Golf.
Yeah, we have that posted on YouTube. We usually stream on Tuesdays. Time zones. Don't forget about time zones.
And daylight savings.
As of recording. Today, as of the recording, is statistically speaking one of the most dangerous days of the year because so many people just lose that hour of sleep and it drives them mad.
I did put out an article earlier today that daylight savings actually kills more people a year than sharks. That is just empirically true.
We're also planning on starting a Jackbox stream where we will play Jackbox with a couple of our other friends, and the audience will be able to join in through awesome Twitch add-ons.
Absolutely.
That will probably start streaming on Sundays. So
stay tuned for that.
If you're interested in hearing us rant about whatever while playing games,
I'm rather partial to our bringing out our best 80s game show host impressions as we hold our Jackbox session, and it'll be delightful. And here we are. This week's random question coming in from a lovely fan of ours. What is your favorite piece of clothing you own?
My favorite piece of clothing I own has got to be my Gundam Cafe t-shirt.
Hell yeah.
Well, I mean, I got it straight from the Gundam Cafe in Akibara?
That sounds right.
Anyway, it's in Tokyo, the prefecture in Tokyo. I went there with Richard's brother, actually.
Yeah, you guys went on a lovely family vacation without me.
Yeah, it was a good time. But that's definitely my favorite piece of clothing. What's your favorite piece of clothing you own there, Richard?
Well, first, I'm slightly sad that the t-shirt and hoodie I custom made from you is not your favorite piece, but it got old and damaged. The Charmander shirt sadly did not win this contest. But for me...
the Squirtle Hermit sweater also got old and damaged. I really should reorder a new one of those. And I never got a Bulbasaur shirt.
All right, so I will design you a Bulbasaur. But moving on to my favorite piece of clothing is my gray sweater I've had since I was 6 that still fits and is still in pristine condition. It is magical and enchanted. I stole it from my brother when I was my mom says I was 6, and it went down to my knees. And then I grew, and it's made out of some kind of gray mithril material that just has grown with me magically.
Yeah, okay.
I've worn that thing on first dates and job interviews, weddings and funerals. It is a magical color-neutral sweater that pairs with anything.
Yeah, I mean, I don't actually wear my Gundam Cafe t-shirt very often because, then it would get dirty and I might have to wash it, and then the cute little chibi robots might fade, and it's I love that shirt, but it's not actually a practical article.
To be fair,
clothing.
Your favorite piece of clothing does not need to be worn. If it is a jersey on a shelf, that is A-okay. And with that, thank you for... Oh, sorry for cutting you off. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say I have it hanging on an actual coat hanger in my closet.
Nice. At some point over Christmas, I acquired a 50-pack of dress shirts because I asked for it and I got it. And I have to hang them up now because they get wrinkled and they're nice, which I wear for Zoom meetings. I'll put on the shirt for the Zoom meeting, do the Zoom meeting, take the shirt off, hang it back up. So I wear them for an hour a day so they stay nice.
Well, with that, I think that brings our podcast to an end for today. Just if you have any questions or comments, I believe we have a
yes, we do. In the link,
system.
you'll find a link to our survey to put your opinions for future episodes and submit questions and vote who you like more, Richard or Karl. Fun fact, Richard is winning. So if you want my ego to inflate higher, don't fill the survey in. Little reverse psychology for you. Take care and have a lovely nondescript time period, and watch out for bat-shaped weirdos.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.